Have you ever felt like your confidence is being chipped away, but you can't quite pinpoint why? It's not always obvious external forces. Sometimes, the biggest threats to our self-worth are subtle, internal saboteurs we don't even recognize. This video is going to expose those hidden forces and arm you with the tools to fight back, empowering you to reclaim your true value. Let me begin with a question, one you may have never asked yourself directly, but which has quietly shaped the architecture of your entire life. When did you first begin negotiating with your own value? Not consciously, not aloud, but in the silent chambers of your mind, in the unspoken corners of your heart. When did you first learn to measure your worth with invisible rulers you never agreed to use? Maybe it happened the first time someone dismissed your excitement, the first time you failed at something that mattered, the first time you compared yourself to someone who seemed effortlessly ahead. Or perhaps it was much quieter, the slow erosion of self-trust that begins when you start believing your doubts more than your potential. Tonight, in this sacred conversation, we turn inward. We will walk through the subtle corridors of the psyche where self-worth is either nurtured or quietly stolen. Not by dramatic trauma or catastrophic moments, but by subtle saboteurs that slip through unnoticed. A whisper that says, "You're not ready." A familiar tension in the chest before you speak your truth. A hesitation when you receive praise. A discomfort when abundance approaches. A compulsion to over-explain, over-perform, or over-give. A silent shrinking whenever your soul tries to expand. These are the shadows behind the shadows, the unseen narrators of your decisions, your relationships, your ambitions, your dreams, and even your destiny. And so, in this cinematic unfolding, under the inner starlight of awareness, we begin unmasking them, gently, courageously, truthfully. Because your self-worth is not just a psychological idea. It is the foundation of your health, your emotional life, your relationships, your creativity, your finances, your spirituality, your leadership, your entire human experience. The body expresses it through posture, breath, and energy. The mind reflects it through thoughts, focus, and self-talk. The soul reveals it through intuition, purpose, and the courage to become who you truly are. Self-worth is the silent architect behind every chapter of your life. But here's the paradox, the one most people never see. The greatest threat to your self-worth is never external. It is internal, and it is subtle. You may fight the loud battles, criticism, rejection, comparison, but those are only the surface. The real battle is with the gentle, almost invisible saboteurs. The doubt that disguises itself as caution, the perfectionism that pretends to be ambition, the procrastination that masquerades as planning, the fear of judgment that hides behind being considerate, the shrinking that covers itself with the cloak of humility. The saboteurs are clever because they don't shout, they whisper. And we often mistake their voice for our own. Tonight, we peel back those layers, not with aggression, not with judgment, but with conscious illumination, the kind that heals, reveals, and liberates. Think of this like entering a long-forgotten temple, one built within you long before you learned the language of the world. Inside this temple are mirrors, some polished, some cracked, some covered in dust, each reflecting a different story you've believed about yourself. stories inherited from family, stories acquired from society, stories engraved by experiences, stories whispered by fear. But also, stories written by your soul that you may have forgotten. And now we walk through this temple together, slowly, deliberately, bringing torches of awareness to every corner. Because the truth is, you were never meant to live a life defined by self-doubt. You were meant to live a life defined by self-recognition. Recognition of your power, recognition of your potential, recognition of your inherent worth. The worth that existed the moment you took your first breath. Before the world taught you anything, your soul already knew everything. But somewhere along the way, through achievements and failures, relationships and heartbreaks, expectations and disappointments, layers accumulated. Layers of noise, layers of fear, layers of conditioning. Each layer dimmed the light just a little. Not enough for you to stop shining, but enough for you to question your own brilliance. And so in this series of reflections, we will rediscover what is already yours. We will explore the 12 dimensions of conscious life, not as separate categories, but as interconnected rivers flowing from one source, your inner worthiness. Because your health is affected by how worthy you feel of caring for your body. Your emotional life reflects how worthy you feel of peace. Your intellect sharpens when you feel worthy of clarity. Your character strengthens when you feel worthy of honor. Your spirituality deepens when you feel worthy of guidance. Your relationships flourish when you feel worthy of love. Your family grows when you feel worthy of influence. Your social life transforms when you feel worthy of boundaries. Your financial reality expands when you feel worthy of abundance. Your career elevates when you feel worthy of leadership. Your quality of life rises when you feel worthy of joy. And your overall life experience becomes meaningful when you feel worthy of being here, fully, unapologetically, authentically. Self-worth is not a trait. It is a frequency. It is a state of consciousness. It is the foundation on which you build your destiny. And so we begin with a simple truth. You are not broken. You are buried. Buried under expectations, buried under fear, buried under misinterpretations of your past, buried under stories that were never yours to carry. This script, this cinematic unfolding, is not about convincing you that you're worthy. It is about reminding you of what your soul has always known, reminding you of what your intuition has whispered, reminding you of what your future self is already living. Tonight we unmask, not to expose your flaws, but to reveal your truth. Tonight we dismantle the illusions, not to make you smaller, but to return you to your original size. This is the path of restoration, revelation, and return. Welcome to unmasking the subtle saboteurs of self-worth. Your journey begins now. Into the architecture of the unseen forces that shape your sense of value. Here, we explore the mechanics behind the subtle saboteurs, where they come from, how they operate, and why the mind clings to them even when they cause suffering. Because every self-worth wound has a logic beneath it, and every illusion has a truth behind it. Let us enter. The first illusion, my worth is conditional. This is the oldest illusion, inherited not from your failures, but from the way society and upbringing often pair love with performance. As children, many of us learned silently, unintentionally, that approval equals good, mistakes equals bad, success equals praise, failure equals disappointment.
Obedience equals love. Authenticity equals risk. The brain absorbs these patterns long before language forms. Neuroscience tells us that the amygdala, the emotional sentinel, writes early scripts based on safety and threat. Your worth becomes entangled with outcomes rather than existence. And so the mind grows into adulthood, believing, I am worthy if, I am valuable when, I am enough only if I prove it. This illusion births many of the saboteurs: perfectionism, people-pleasing, overachieving, overthinking, chronic self-doubt. But the truth beneath the illusion is ancient and simple. Your worth does not require proof. It requires recognition. If your value can be increased by praise or reduced by criticism, then you are not valuing yourself, you are valuing the reactions of others. The sage within whispers, "You were worthy before the world knew your name." The second delusion: if I improve enough, the doubt will disappear. This is the illusion of endless self-fixing. The subconscious belief that worthiness is somewhere in the future, waiting for you to earn it. It's a treadmill disguised as ambition. Modern psychology calls this the conditional self. Ancient Stoics called it the false self, always chasing, never arriving. Zen teachings call it hungry ghost energy, a craving that cannot be satisfied from the outside. Here's the truth beneath the illusion. Self-improvement means nothing without self-acceptance. You cannot bully yourself into expansion. You cannot shame yourself into greatness. You cannot hustle your way into wholeness. Your worth is not at the summit of the mountain. It is in the one who climbs. When worthiness is postponed, self-sabotage becomes inevitable, because the mind concludes, if I'm not worthy now, why try? Why risk? Why show up fully? This is how dreams shrink. This is how relationships become unfulfilling. This is how potential gathers dust. True transformation begins the moment you stop negotiating with your own value. The third illusion: my past defines my worth. This illusion is stitched deeply into the ego because the ego loves stories. It clings to memories, labels, failures, moments of embarrassment or regret, and uses them as mirrors. But these mirrors are inaccurate. They reflect who you were, not who you are becoming. The subconscious repeats patterns not because they are true, but because they are familiar. This is why someone who failed once may sabotage future success, why someone who was hurt may sabotage intimacy, why someone who is underestimated may sabotage visibility. Neuroscience describes this as predictive coding. The brain expects the future to match the past, so it unconsciously creates conditions to confirm those expectations. But here is the spiritual counterpoint. Your soul does not reference your past when revealing your destiny. Only your ego does. Vedic philosophy teaches that every moment is a crossroads between karma, past patterns, and dharma, future potential. Hermetic wisdom echoes, as within, so without. Your inner story creates your outer experience. The past is a lesson, not a prison. Once you understand this, the saboteur of self-blame loses its power.
The fourth illusion: I must stay small to stay safe. This illusion hides in the shadows, subtle, protective, quiet. It forms when expansion feels dangerous, fear of judgment, fear of envy, fear of failure, fear of responsibility, fear of leaving familiar identities behind. Humans are wired for belonging, and the subconscious prioritizes belonging over authenticity. That is why some people under-earn despite talent. Some avoid leadership despite vision. Some hide their gifts despite longing to share them. Some dim their joy to avoid making others uncomfortable. In Taoist teachings, this is called the shrinking of spirit. In modern psychology, it's called self-contraction. In energy work, it's described as lowering frequency to match old environments. But hear the truth. Your soul does not contract, it only expands. It is the mind that shrinks to fit old versions of you. Whenever you betray your potential to maintain comfort, your self-worth fractures. Not because you failed, but because you abandoned the part of you that knows you are more. The fifth illusion. If I understand the problem, it will disappear. This illusion sabotages even the most self-aware individuals. Understanding is not transformation. Insight is not embodiment. Awareness is not integration. You can read every book, listen to every podcast, master every concept, and still feel unworthy. Why? Because self-worth is not a thought. It is a lived frequency. Hermetic philosophy describes this as the difference between knowing the path and walking it. To shift self-worth, you must feel differently, behave differently, decide differently, speak to yourself differently, show up differently, not theoretically, but consistently. This is why so many intelligent, conscious, growth-oriented people still self-sabotage. Their minds understand their worth, but their nervous systems do not believe it yet. Transformation happens when understanding travels from the mind to the body, to the soul, to your actions. The real battle, the seen versus the unseen. Everything you consciously want, abundance, love, influence, health, success, fulfillment, exists in the seen world. But everything that blocks you from receiving it lives in the unseen world. Beliefs, patterns, fears, traumas, inner narratives, energetic imprints. Modern science explains this through subconscious conditioning. Ancient mystics explained it through vibration and karma. Different language, same mechanism. The outer world is simply a projection of the inner one. And so the subtle saboteurs of self-worth operate like invisible architects, shaping your decisions, your posture, your tone, your risk tolerance, your standards, your boundaries, your dreams. When you strengthen your self-worth, you shift all 12 dimensions of conscious life. Your health rises, your emotions stabilize, your intellect sharpens, your character strengthens, your relationships deepen, your finances grow, your career evolves, your social world aligns, your parenting transforms, your spirituality expands, your quality of life elevates, your entire lived experience becomes richer. Because self-worth is not just the root, it is the soil. Everything grows from it. The invitation. As we leave this section, remember, your saboteurs are not enemies. They are guardians, created in moments where you needed protection. But what once protected you now restrains you. And the journey forward is not a battle, but a liberation, a returning, a remembering, a rising. If the first two sections illuminated the mechanics of your inner saboteurs, this section takes you deeper into the symbolic terrain of the psyche, where wisdom reveals itself not as theory, but as story, archetype, and mythic truth. Because some truths are too ancient to speak plainly, they must be felt. They must be seen with the inner eye. And so now, the mystical storyteller steps forward. Let us enter the mythic realm, the parable of the mirror keeper. There is an old story whispered across many traditions, told in monasteries, desert temples, mountaintop retreats, and quiet spiritual circles. It is the story of the mirror keeper. It goes like this. Long ago, in a realm between waking and dreaming, lived a figure called the mirror keeper, a guardian of a great hall filled with ancient mirrors. But these were no ordinary mirrors. Each one reflected not appearance, but identity. One mirror revealed your strength, another revealed your fear, another showed your potential, another your wounds, another your destiny, and one, the rarest of all, reflected your true self-worth. Travelers from every land came seeking that final mirror, some to find healing, some to find clarity, some to find themselves. But when they entered the hall, something strange always happened. They would stand before the mirror that revealed their worth, and they would turn away. Not because the mirror showed something frightening, but because it showed something too bright, too powerful, too sacred, too true. Most travelers were more comfortable looking into mirrors that confirmed their limitations, mirrors that echoed the stories they had carried for years. One day, a young wanderer entered the hall. He approached the mirrors cautiously, but with a quiet curiosity. When he stood before the mirror of self-worth, he felt warmth emanate from it. It was gentle, steady, unwavering, like a sunrise that refused to rush. He hesitated. He felt the familiar urge to turn away. Old voices rose inside him. You're not enough. You'll embarrass yourself. You're not ready. You don't deserve clarity. But then he noticed something. The mirror did not judge him for hesitating. It simply stood there, calm, patient, eternal. The more he breathed, the more he realized the mirror wasn't showing him what he needed to become. It was showing him what he already was. He looked into the reflection, and everything changed. He didn't see perfection. He didn't see someone without flaws. He didn't see someone who had earned worthiness. He saw a soul, a spark of divine consciousness experiencing a human journey, an essence beyond failure or success, beyond past or future. And for the first time, he understood. All the saboteurs he carried, doubt, fear, self-criticism, shrinking, hesitation, weren't there to harm him. They were there because he had forgotten this truth. They had been protecting a younger, wounded version of him, not realizing he had grown up into someone capable of standing before his own light. He stepped closer to the mirror, touched its surface, and whispered, "I remember." And the hall of mirrors, every one of them, shimmered in recognition. The mirror keeper bowed, and the wanderer walked out whole. This is your story as well. Every time you reclaim a piece of self-worth, you step closer to the mirror that has always waited for you. The alchemist of the inner kingdom. Let us journey now into another symbolic tale, one drawn from the ancient alchemical tradition, but rewritten for the modern seeker. Within every human psyche lives the inner kingdom, a vast territory of emotion, memory, intuition, desire, belief, and possibility. In this kingdom, an alchemist works tirelessly in the inner chambers, tending to the raw material of your experiences. This alchemist has only one mission: to turn your self-perception into gold. But the alchemist cannot work with truths you hide, fears you deny, or wounds you refuse to touch. Like all alchemy, the process begins with raw, unrefined matter. Your insecurity, your uncertainty, your mistakes, your shadow, your longing, your vulnerability. The subtle saboteurs of self-worth, the parts of you that doubt, shrink, hesitate, are not signs of weakness. They are simply unrefined material waiting to be transformed. In symbolic language, fear becomes courage in its purified form. Doubt becomes clarity. Shame becomes authenticity. Comparison becomes self-recognition. Self-punishment becomes self-compassion. Shrinking becomes presence. The alchemist does not reject any part of you. The alchemist transforms. This is why your spiritual awakening is not about becoming someone new. It is about transmuting who you already are. As you begin to recognize your value, the entire inner kingdom shifts. Your inner child feels safer. Your intuition speaks louder. Your emotions flow more freely. Your thoughts soften. Your body relaxes. Your decisions become clearer. Your relationships realign. Your path ahead brightens. Nothing outside you needs to change first. The alchemy begins within.
The Wanderer and the Shadow. There is a final narrative, a symbolic journey that echoes through shamanic traditions, Jungian psychology, and spiritual mysticism. It is the story of the Wanderer and the Shadow. In this tale, every human begins their life walking through a vast landscape. At first, the wanderer is guided by instinct, curiosity, and innocence. But eventually, the wanderer notices a presence following them, a silent companion, always a few steps behind. This companion is the shadow, not evil, not dark in the way we imagine, but made of all the parts the wanderer learned to hide. Every insecurity, every wound, every unmet need, every repressed desire, every unspoken truth, every forgotten strength. Whenever the wanderer tries to run from the shadow, it grows larger. Whenever the wanderer ignores it, it becomes heavier. Whenever the wanderer fears it, it becomes more intimidating. But the story shifts when the wanderer finally turns around and, for the first time, faces the shadow. To their surprise, it does not attack. It does not accuse. It does not condemn. The shadow simply asks, in a voice softer than expected, "Why do you fear the parts of you that needed love?" The wanderer steps closer. The shadow continues, "I carried your pain because you were too young to hold it. I protected your heart when the world felt too sharp. I whispered your doubts to keep you safe from risk. And I held your fear so you could survive long enough to grow." And then the shadow fades. Not because it disappears, but because it becomes integrated, finally welcomed home. This is the symbolic truth behind self-worth. You do not heal by fighting your saboteurs. You heal by understanding them. You heal by integrating them. You heal by befriending the shadow. Wholeness is not about eliminating darkness. It is about allowing your inner light to illuminate it. The emotional crescendo. These stories, the mirror keeper, the inner alchemist, the shadow, are not myths meant for entertainment. They are mirrors. They are maps. They are metaphors for the journey you are already on. Their purpose is simple: to remind you that everything you need to reclaim your self-worth already exists inside you. You are the wanderer. You are the alchemist. You are the one standing in the hall of mirrors. You are the one facing the shadow. You are the one remembering. You are the one returning. And the saboteurs you fear are not villains, but guardians who overstayed their purpose. When you understand them, you free them. And when you free them, you free yourself.
We have traveled through the psychological, philosophical, and symbolic layers of self-worth. Now, we bring it all home. Because self-worth is not only a spiritual truth or an inner knowing, it is a daily practice, a lived frequency that breathes through every choice you make. This section is about integration, translation, embodiment. This section takes the cosmic and makes it practical. This is where wisdom meets action and where subtle shifts create tangible transformation across every dimension of your life. Let us begin. The body, where self-worth becomes biology. Your body is one of the most honest mirrors of your self-worth. The way you breathe, the way you walk, the way you rest, the way you eat, the way you inhabit space, the way you carry your shoulders, the tone in your voice, the presence in your eyes. Self-worth is felt somatically, and the nervous system responds accordingly. Low self-worth activates hypervigilance, shoulders tight, breath shallow, voice uncertain, tension stored. High self-worth activates regulation, breath deepens, posture straightens, energy expands, the heart feels safe. Practical integration. Take 2 minutes each morning to place your hand on your chest, breathe slowly and affirm, I am safe to take up space. This is not just emotional work. It is rewiring the limbic system, retraining your vagus nerve tone, retraining your body to trust your presence. Do this daily and your body becomes a sanctuary instead of a battlefield. Emotional life. Rewriting the inner script. Emotionally, low self-worth shows up as overthinking, apologizing for existing, minimizing your needs, fear of rejection, difficulty receiving love, overreacting to criticism, avoiding vulnerability. But these emotional patterns are not flaws. They are messages. Every emotional trigger is a knock on the door of deeper self-worth. Practical integration. When a heavy emotion rises, ask, what part of me feels unworthy right now? And then, instead of abandoning that part, sit with it, hear it, let it speak. This is emotional alchemy. This is the beginning of inner reparenting. This is how you become your own safe space. The intellect, clearing the mind of false narratives. Your intellect is powerful, but it is also programmable. Without conscious direction, it becomes a magnet for old narratives. I can't. What if I fail? They're better than me. I don't deserve this yet. These thoughts are not truths. They are echoes. You must treat your intellect like a garden. Pull weeds, plant intentionally, create inner order. Practical integration. A 2-step reset. 1. Awareness. Catch the thought. Name it. Don't judge it. 2. Replacement. Choose a higher frequency alternative. I can learn this. I'm capable. It's safe to try. Success is allowed. I am worthy of support. This is not delusion. This is cognitive discipline. This is self-respect. Over time, your mind becomes a place that supports you, rather than sabotages you. Character and identity, the habits of worthiness. Self-worth is not simply what you feel, it is what you do consistently. It is the promises you keep to yourself, the boundaries you hold, the behaviors you refuse to normalize. Your identity is sculpted through action. Practical integration, the 3 identity pillars. 1. Boundaries. Start saying no where your soul already whispers it. Every no rooted in alignment strengthens self-worth. 2. Self-respect rituals. Simple daily acts that reinforce dignity, cleaning your space, maintaining your health, showing up on time, speaking truthfully. 3. Integrity with yourself. When you say you'll do something, follow through. Every small promise forms the backbone of your self-esteem. Character is not a moral construct. It is a self-worth construct. Spirituality, alignment with your higher self. Spiritually, self-worth is the ability to believe, I am not here by accident. Life supports me. My desires are not delusions, they are directions. I am guided, held, and capable. Low self-worth disconnects you from intuition. High self-worth amplifies it, because intuition speaks loudest to those who trust themselves. Practical integration, the soul alignment question. Each morning or evening, ask, what is one small action my higher self would take today? Then take that action, no matter how subtle. This daily alignment builds momentum toward your purpose. Love and relationships, the worthiness blueprint. Relationships reflect not what you consciously desire, but what you unconsciously believe you deserve. People with low self-worth often choose partners who undervalue them, settle for half love, overgive to earn affection, avoid expressing needs, stay silent to maintain peace, attract emotionally unavailable people. These patterns are not random. They are psychological contracts rooted in early self-worth wounds. Practical integration. Begin practicing truth in microdoses. Say small truths. I'd prefer this. That hurts my feelings. I need time to think. I'm not comfortable with that. Each small truth expands your relational self-worth, and those who cannot honor your truth were never meant to walk with you.
Parenting and legacy, passing down self-worth. Whether you are a parent, mentor, sibling, leader, or simply a future ancestor, your self-worth becomes part of your legacy. Children do not inherit your habits. They inherit your energy, your frequency, your modeling. When you treat yourself with value, you teach others that they too are valuable. Practical integration. Practice narrating self-worth aloud. I'm taking a break because I matter. I made a mistake, and that's okay. I'm learning. I'm worthy of rest. I'm proud of myself. This is generational alchemy. This is how cycles transform. Social life, authentic connections. Strong self-worth transforms who you allow into your world. You stop chasing attention. You stop tolerating disrespect. You stop pretending to fit in. You stop hiding your brilliance. Instead, you begin attracting others who resonate with your truth. Practical integration. Audit your social world using one simple question. Who do I feel more like myself around? Move closer to those people. Distance yourself from the rest. Self-worth is magnetic precision. Financial life, the abundance frequency. Money flows where self-worth grows. This is not magical thinking. It's psychological and behavioral reality. Low self-worth causes financial contraction, undercharging, overspending for validation, fear of investing, playing small professionally, avoiding negotiation, accepting scarcity. High self-worth invites abundance, fair pricing, strategic risk, clear standards, receiving support, valuing your skills, feeling deserving of wealth. Practical integration. Raise one standard in your financial life this week. Your rates, your spending boundaries, your saving habits, your standards for clients, your salary expectations. Abundance begins with a single act of worthiness. Career and leadership. Presence without apology. Professionally, self-worth shows up as taking initiative, saying your ideas with confidence, allowing yourself to be seen, stepping into leadership naturally, trusting your competence, not shrinking in rooms where you belong. If you underestimate yourself, others will follow your lead. Practical integration. Before any important meeting or task, pause and say, "I am allowed to take up space here." It changes your tone, your posture, your energy, your impact. Quality of life. The art of receiving. One of the deepest signs of self-worth is the ability to receive compliments, rest, help, joy, abundance, presence, ease, love. The unworthy self rejects gifts. The worthy self receives them with grace. Practical integration. Practice saying two simple words when someone gives you something sincere. Thank you. Not deflecting, not minimizing, not explaining. Receiving is a powerful spiritual discipline. The life experience, living as your true self. Self-worth changes your entire lived experience. The colors become brighter. The world feels safer. Opportunities expand. Love deepens. Courage rises. Peace stabilizes. Life becomes richer, fuller, more aligned. This is not because the world changed, but because you did. Because you stopped abandoning yourself. Because you stopped dimming your own light. Because you finally chose to value your presence.
Take a breath. You have journeyed through the landscapes of your mind, the chambers of your heart, the halls of your inner myth, and the architecture of your real-world life. You have seen the subtle saboteurs for what they truly are, not enemies, but forgotten guardians, not obstacles, but invitations. Now we arrive at the final moment, the integration of all truths, the weaving of the entire tapestry, the return to your origin and your future at once. This is the part of the story where everything converges. The sage, the mentor, the storyteller, the shadow, the alchemist, the child you were, the soul you are, and the future self calling you forward. Let us step into the conclusion. The great return, seeing yourself as you were meant to be. Every journey of self-worth is ultimately a journey of returning, not to who you were before the world shaped you, but to who you were before the world confused you, before the doubt, before the shrinking, before the comparison, before the expectations, before the fear of visibility, before the fear of not being enough. Your original essence was not timid. It was not hesitant. It was not apologetic. It was radiant, curious, courageous, unquestionably worthy. This essence still lives within you, untouched by the years, untouched by the wounds, untouched by the narratives. It has watched patiently from beneath the layers, waiting for the day you would stop fighting your reflection and start recognizing it. Tonight is that day. This moment is that return. You stand at the threshold of a life shaped not by self-doubt, but by self-recognition. Feel that truth for a moment. Because your worth is not an upgrade, it's a remembrance. The grand weaving of all dimensions. Your self-worth is not a single thread. It is the loom upon which all 12 dimensions of conscious life are woven. Your health rises when you believe your body deserves nourishment and rest. Your emotions stabilize when you believe you are worthy of peace. Your intellect sharpens when you believe your mind deserves clarity. Your character strengthens when you believe your choices matter. Your spirituality deepens when you believe you deserve guidance. Your relationships transform when you believe you deserve love. Your legacy expands when you believe future generations deserve the best of you. Your social world clarifies when you believe you deserve respect. Your finances grow when you believe you deserve abundance. Your career evolves when you believe your gifts matter. Your quality of life improves when you believe joy is allowed. And your entire human experience elevates when you believe your presence has purpose. Self-worth is the root system beneath the entire forest of your life. When you water the root, everything grows. When you strengthen the foundation, everything rises. When you honor your inner worth, everything aligns. The moment of choice, a new future or an old pattern. Every inner transformation eventually arrives at a crossroads. Not a grand, dramatic, cinematic one, but a quiet, subtle, deeply sacred one. It looks like a simple question, but it shapes your entire trajectory. Will I continue living from the version of me that doubts, or rise into the version of me that remembers? In truth, there are only two paths. The path of repetition, continuing the old narratives of unworthiness, shrinking, overthinking, self-negotiation, self-abandonment. The path of rising, choosing presence, courage, truth, expansion, respect, and inner alignment. This is not a question of perfection. It is a question of direction. The old path leads you back into old rooms. The rising path leads you into the life your soul has been yearning for. And here is the most empowering truth of all. You don't have to be fully ready to choose the new path. You only have to be willing. Willing to rise, willing to try, willing to remember, willing to value your own existence. Read that again. You only have to be willing. That willingness is the ignition of transformation. The future self who waits for you. Across the expanse of your timeline, beyond the versions of you shaped by fear, beyond the versions of you shaped by habit, there exists another you, a future you, a higher you. a luminous, expanded, grounded, peaceful, confident, purpose-driven you. This version of you is not imaginary, it is inevitable. If you stop abandoning yourself, this future self is not waiting for you to become perfect. They are waiting for you to become aligned. Because alignment is what unlocks destiny. Some people chase their future, others collapse into it. But you are meant to rise into it. The great reminder: you are not here to shrink. Your life is not an accident. Your gifts are not random. Your path is not meaningless. Your desires are not illusions. Your calling is not optional. You are here to expand, to create, to influence, to heal, to evolve, to rise, to anchor light, to embody truth, to remember who you really are. Every dream you have is a breadcrumb from your soul. Every desire is a compass. Every longing is instruction. Every whisper of intuition is a map folded inside your heart. And every time you strengthen your self-worth, you walk one step closer toward the life that was always intended for you. You are not here to shrink. You are here to shine. Let that truth settle into your bones. The transformational call. If this journey has stirred something within you, if it has awakened a memory, a truth, a longing, a quiet power, then hold it, honor it, don't let it fade. Because this moment, this exact moment, is a point of transformation. Not the kind you force, the kind you choose. So here is your invitation. Choose yourself. Choose your worth. Choose your expansion. Choose your alignment. Choose your future. Choose your voice. Choose your presence. Choose your truth. Choose your life. Choose your becoming. Do not wait for permission. Do not wait for perfect timing. Do not wait for certainty. Do not wait for validation. Start now. Rise now. Remember now. Your life will expand in proportion to how deeply you valued yourself. And you are meant for a life that reflects your soul, not your fears. So step forward into your worth, into your power, into your next chapter. The final call to the journey. If this stirred something within you, carry it. Reflect on it. Live it. Let it shape your days and sharpen your vision. Let it guide you as you rise into the life that has always been waiting for you. And if you wish to continue evolving with conversations like this, to awaken your inner clarity, to deepen your spiritual strength, to amplify your emotional power, and to walk your path with purpose, subscribe and return often. Every word here is designed to awaken the truth already within you. This is not the end. This is the beginning of your next chapter.